Okay, so let's just jump right into it. You're brilliant, right? You can solve incredibly complex problems, you see patterns that nobody else catches. Your mind is, without a doubt, your greatest superpower. But then, when it comes to love, that same powerful mind can suddenly feel like your biggest liability.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Is that amazing analytical engine, the one that serves you so well everywhere else, actually working against you in your relationships? We're going to break down exactly why that happens.
You know what I'm talking about. You find yourself dissecting every single text message, the punctuation, the timing, the specific word they used. It all becomes this mountain of data that you have to analyze for some hidden meaning, and it just sends you down this rabbit hole of what-ifs. Or maybe this one's more your style. You replay conversations over and over again in your head, just this endless loop, searching for a tiny shift in their tone or a phrase that might signal trouble. It's this exhausting mental audit that just never seems to end. And then there's this. Just when things are getting emotionally close and real, you feel this powerful, totally contradictory urge to just pull away, to create distance right at the moment when connection is supposed to be happening. So if any of that sounds familiar, I need you to hear this loud and clear. You are not broken. What you're experiencing isn't some personal flaw. It is a hidden psychological pattern, one that's actually shared by a lot of highly intelligent people. So let's get into the mechanics of this, into what we're calling the brilliant mind's dilemma. I mean, why does a tool that's so effective in one part of your life cause so much trouble in another? Well, it all starts with your brain's factory settings. For you, analysis is the default operating system. It's how you make sense of the world, and it's what makes you so good at what you do. But here's the catch. Love isn't a logic problem you can solve. It's messy, it's emotional, it's totally unpredictable, and it is full of uncertainty. And because your brain is literally wired to spot threats and solve problems, it sees all that emotional uncertainty as a danger. This kicks off something called cognitive loops, these endless cycles of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. Your brain is trying to turn your relationship into a problem that it can solve. Now, obviously, living in that constant state of high alert is exhausting. So your mind develops these two primary defense mechanisms. Think of them as two internal alarms that go off in response to all this emotional stress. Okay, so on one side, you've got the anxious tendency. This is that cognitive loop running at full speed. It's fueled by a deep fear of abandonment, so it's constantly trying to solve the relationship by seeking reassurance. But on the other side, you have the avoidant tendency, which uses a logic shield. This is driven by a fear of being overwhelmed, of being engulfed, so it seeks distance and control by observing emotions instead of actually feeling them. And you can kind of see the thinking behind that logic shield, right? When all the anxiety and the chaos from those cognitive loops gets to be too much, your brain makes this tactical retreat. The most logical solution seems to be, well, to just feel less. You go from being a participant in the relationship to being an observer of it. And this brings us to what is probably the most painful part of this whole dynamic. See, a lot of intelligent people don't just pick one of these alarms. They can swing, sometimes violently, between them. And this is what creates something we call the loneliness paradox. So the loneliness paradox is this confusing, exhausting push-pull. One minute, your anxious side is craving closeness and certainty more than anything. The next, your avoidance side is totally overwhelmed and desperately needs space. This emotional whiplash creates this profound sense of isolation, making you feel like you are fundamentally misunderstood. And the heartbreaking result of this paradox is this simple, painful truth. You can be in a committed, loving relationship, be entirely loved by someone, and yet you can still feel completely and utterly alone. But, and this is a big but, you are not doomed to repeat this cycle forever. Your mind is incredibly powerful, which means it can be rewired. So let's look at 4 really practical, actionable steps you can start taking to get back in the driver's seat. Okay, here's the game plan. Step 1, just name the overthinking loop. Seriously, just recognizing it when it's happening is a huge first step. Step 2, practice healthy emotional observation, which means watching your feelings without judging them. Step 3, go against your default setting. And finally, number 4, learn to communicate your observations, not your accusations. Let's zoom in on step 3 for a second, going against your default. This is going to look different depending on your tendency. So if you lean anxious, your job is to practice tolerating uncertainty. That means resisting the urge to send that text asking for immediate reassurance. If you lean avoidant, your work is to practice what's called micro-vulnerability, just sharing one small, honest feeling. And step 4, wow, this is a total game changer. So instead of an accusation like you're pulling away, which immediately puts someone on the defensive, you frame it as an observation of your own mind, something like, when you're quiet, the story my brain tells me is that you're losing interest. See the difference? This opens a door for connection instead of sparking a conflict.
Ultimately, this whole journey isn't about shutting down your incredible intellect. It's about having the courage to connect that brilliant mind of yours with your heart.
And here's the absolute core of it. Lasting love does not require you to be less intelligent. Not at all. It requires emotional integration. It's about letting your analytical self and your feeling self finally learn to work together as a team.
So what does that look like in real life? Well, it means building a tolerance for the beautiful messiness of uncertainty. It means practicing just being present in the moment instead of constantly analyzing the past or trying to predict the future. And maybe most importantly, it means having the courage to be vulnerable.
Because the truth is, the best and most meaningful parts of human connection are the ones you can't just solve on a whiteboard. So maybe the most intelligent thing you can do when it comes to love isn't to solve it, it's to fully and bravely allow yourself to experience it.